Hey YouTube, so this is primarily a video to let you know my book's coming out the day after tomorrow, as they say in the film. So on the 9th, which is Tuesday, it will be out in America, and on the 11th, which is Thursday, it will be out in the UK and Australia and New Zealand, Canada, same as America. In the past, those two dates have been quite a lot further apart, which is an enormous pain in the bum because, if they're like 3 weeks apart, then you have to get all the Americans excited about the book. And then 3 weeks pass, and then suddenly you have to get all the Brits excited about the book. So it's great that the publishers were able to squeeze them together. And for the past week, I've not been super active because I've been in hospital with my daughter Kellen for Monday till Friday, um, which is never fun for her and can be a little frustrating. Hopefully, this coming up week will be a good one. To be fair, we haven't actually been in hospital since this was the first time this year, though we did spend the majority of December in it. So the the books, the book that wouldn't burn. This is the trade paperback version that is released in Australia and New Zealand, I believe, and sold internationally. So, like if you're in, I don't know, Oslo in Norway, a place where the book isn't officially published, you'll be able to get this in the shops. The American version has got a slight different color scheme and the lettering in white, but otherwise it's basically just the same beast. Looks a little bit different with its clothes off. I think it's got a sort of two-tone effect going on. Whereas the other one is the UK one is black. Um, and Americans have the immense pleasure of my photo, significantly younger me, it has to be said, on the back. British books don't tend to do that, so none of my UK editions have ever had my photo on, which is probably a good thing, as I am not constantly reminded that I was younger 10 years ago. So this is the UK version, and this has the gold foil on the lettering, and also the lines that go through the library are gold foiled. Otherwise, apart from for a little bit of a different ethos on commas and spelling of some words, they're identical. I wanted to run you through where you can get more interesting than the standard copies. So we've had the obviously the locked library thing, which I wasn't allowed to tell you about in advance, and you can't get hold of now, and are going for silly prices on eBay. They did this lovely edition with all sorts of pretty bits and pieces associated with it. The Broken Binding did a special edition, which I publicized widely. So if you missed that, I feel it's on you. They did, I think it was 750 copies of a signed and numbered edition. And when that was open to the public, I think it lasted about an hour. We got rid of them all. So now your options for signed copies are, if you're in the UK, we'll refer to my list here pinned to the top of my Facebook. If you're in the UK, Forbidden Planet do a really cheap signed version. I'm going down to Forbidden Planet on Friday. I'm going to sign a whole bunch of stock for them in Bristol, and then they'll send that around the country so that the signed copies will be available in Forbidden Planets around the country. And they're also available online. So if you were to click that link, you would find this here and £13.99 for a signed hard copy. They're practically giving it away. Go for that if you're in the UK. They will ship internationally, but obviously getting the book across the pond is an expensive business. And I'm just going to go back here. So in the US, you've got oh sorry, also saying I'm going to sign a bunch of copies in Bath on Thursday. That's the historic town right next to Bristol. Um, for I think it's Toppings and Company. So if you know what I'm talking about, you'll know where their bookshop is there, and you'll be able to get a signed copy in their bookshop in Bath. Um, and so in the US, we've got the Signed page, which is another Sean Speakman company. So he runs the Grim Oak Press, but he also, I think he may have started with the Signed page, which is all about signed books rather than specially produced books. Um, and the editions they're selling are not signed, but they are being accompanied by what they call a colossal card, which I believe is about this size. So it's probably this one was from Andira Books, but you can see it's very good quality card, quite large, and it's got the unadulterated cover art on it. And so the signed page doing the same sort of thing for the cover art done by Tom Roberts on this. So I will sign that, and also Tom Roberts, the artist, will sign it. So that edition will come with this signed card, but it won't itself be signed. And VJ Book, who have signed copies of all of my stuff, or at least each year they get some signed ones in. They will be selling signed copies of the book that wouldn't burn. And with these guys, just because it would, we tried it once with Sean back in the day with Prince of Thorns, and it was just like hundreds and hundreds of dollars to ship a relatively small number of books and then ship them back, which you then having to add sort of $50 to the price of a book just to cover the transit of it and all of the nif nap of sending it back and forth. So VJ Books, they send me book plates, which I sign the book plates and then they position into the books. Um, so it's my signature in my book, and a lot of people like those. So those are your options for signed copies and more interesting copies. Any other news? Yes, I finally completed my jigsaw of the cover art, and I did a contest on Twitter to give one of these away, where they had to guess the number of pieces, um, and I found that fiendishly difficult. I mean, some people were guessing it had 1,500 pieces in it. It actually has 266, which seems rather small for the amount of difficulty it presented in completing it. But so I gave one away on Twitter, and I'm giving that one there away on my Patreon. Um, What else? I've got my publication day gift from my publisher. So they have traditionally sent me interesting beers. I think I got like about 30 cans of specialty ales, which are all very much appreciated. They're basically stacked around my bookshelves at the moment. Last night I tried one that was chocolate and chili flavored, which was interesting. Um, what else? I have purchased a this monster here, which wasn't cheap. It's called The Dice Man. It's by Ian Livingstone and Steve Jackson, who founded Games Workshop, and it's primarily of interest to me because the first ever Games Workshop opened about 100 meters from my school, about a year after I started attending it. So and that's when I started playing D&D. So I'm very interested in the story. It's a very niche interest, but it's fun to see how what things were like back in the late 70s when all of this stuff was trying to get off the ground with very old-fashioned newsletters and no social media. And so I've purchased that and I'm reading my way through it. I'm also reading through, I can't see the copy here, but Sons of Darkness. Um, and I'm not going to attempt his name because I'm very bad with names, but it's by an Indian writer. It's described as Indian grimdark, and I'm enjoying that. And then I'll be trying Olivia's Atwater's Small Miracles, and I have uh, a art of Josiah Bancroft's upcoming book, The Hexologists. And as you know, I'm an enormous fan of Josiah's writing, so I will be reading that as soon as possible. Given how terribly slow a reader I am, I do seem to have a lot on my plate at the moment, but I will try and make some time and get through that. But yes, the big news is my book's coming out, and you should definitely buy a copy of these. It's very helpful to authors if you buy their book in the year it comes out, even more helpful if you buy it in the week it comes out, um, and even more helpful if you read it, and even more helpful if you talk about it. So, there's this tendency these days for people to say, "Oh, I've been burned by some famous author who didn't finish their trilogy or their series, and so I'm going to wait till it comes out." And it's I don't think this is actually primarily. I wrote a blog on it on my blog. I don't think this is actually primarily about those famous authors. I think it's a binge culture that we've become uh, familiarized with because of all the streaming services. So we now say we're not going to watch an episode every week of this something unless it's mind-blowingly popular. We're just going to wait and then watch it in our own time, maybe like 5 episodes on one night and watch the whole thing in a week or whatever. Um, but it really does help authors if books are bought, as I say, when they come out and read and talked about when they come out, because um, certainly for new authors, their trilogy, it might be a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're worried that their series doesn't get completed, but it might not get completed because you don't buy it. Um, that's a real problem for translated fantasy that has a much higher overhead in production because they have to pay for translations. And so it's only in translated fantasy, many of those uh, it's happened to me quite a few times. The first book won't sell very well because the readers are thinking, "Oh, so many trilogies don't get completely published. I'll wait, see if this one gets completely published." And because they wait, it doesn't get completely published. It's a vicious cycle. Uh, and that can happen to new authors in the UK as well. Though uh, a lot of the bigger publishers, I think, are very good about remaining true to their readers and their authors, and continuing to put out to the end of a trilogy at least, how regardless of how it sells. But obviously, it is a great help if people buy the books and then the reading of them, because the main engine for selling books is not that the publishers market it somehow. You don't go around and ever see like a billboard for my books. You never hear an advertisement for them on TV or whatever. Uh, the publishers do a great job. They sort of talk to all the booksellers in shops and they send out ARCs, and it's a limited thing. And the primary engine, the overwhelming work is done by you guys when you read a book that you like and talk about it, and in talk about it in public places where on forums and whatever, and draw in more interest. So yes, by all means, if you like the book, talk about it, throw some stars at it on Amazon or whatever website you bought it from, or Goodreads. Goodreads is important. Um, anyway, it will be in your hands soon. The early reaction seems really positive. I've seen multiple examples of people saying this is Lawrence's best book ever. It may well be. I'm very proud of it, and I hope you will enjoy it. Rather than drone on any further length, I'm going to again do my hunt for the button and terminate this video. Catch you next time.